love spine-tingling stories that keep you up at night. On this channel, we bring you original scary stories narrated to send chills down your spine. Hit like if you enjoy the scares and subscribe so you don't miss a story that will haunt your imagination long after the lights go out. So, without further ado, here is an unexplained encounter of the Michigan Dogman. The northern Michigan woods have always felt ancient. Like the trees remember things humans were never meant to know. It was late October 2025, the year ending in 5, but everyone who knows the old stories says the cycles are breaking now. The Dogman doesn't wait politely for the 7s anymore. It just comes. My name is Alex. I grew up in Traverse City, heard Steve Cook's song on old radio specials every Halloween, rolled my eyes at it like everyone else. Just a spooky tune, we'd say. Then last summer, my cousin Jamie moved back from downstate after a bad breakup. He wanted to reconnect with nature, which really meant he wanted to drink IPAs around a fire and pretend he wasn't depressed. We decided on a week-long backpacking trip in the Manistee National Forest, remote section near the Pine River, where the trails vanish under pine needles and the cell signal dies 5 minutes after you leave the parking lot. Jamie brought his drone for epic footage. I brought bear spray and a healthy sense of paranoia. First night was normal. Cold stars, loons calling across the water like lost souls, the usual. We set up near a small clearing beside an old logging road that hadn't seen tires since the 80s. Around 2:17 a.m., I checked my watch because it mattered later. The forest went completely silent. No crickets, no wind. Even the river seemed to hold its breath. Then came the howl. Not a wolf. Wolves sound wild, mournful, clean. This was wet. Human lungs trying to scream through a dog's throat. It rose, cracked, then dropped into a low, bubbling growl that vibrated in my sternum. Jamie sat straight up in his sleeping bag. That was close, he whispered. Probably a wolf with something in its throat, I lied, because saying Dogman out loud felt stupid. Dangerous. We didn't sleep much after that. Day 2, we hiked deeper. Found an old cabin foundation, moss-eaten logs, rusted nails. Someone had carved "It sees you" into a pine 20 feet up. We laughed nervously, city people mocking the backwoods. That night, the drone footage changed everything. Jamie launched it at dusk to get golden hour shots over the canopy. We watched the live feed on his tablet. Beautiful, red and amber leaves, the river like black glass. Then the camera panned across a ridge. Something massive stood there. 7 feet at least, maybe taller. Black-gray fur matted with pine sap, shoulders too broad for a bear, too upright. It had the head of a wolf but stretched, elongated, human-like intelligence in the way it tilted. Eyes caught the last sunlight, yellow-amber, glowing like brake lights in fog. It wasn't looking at the drone. It was looking straight at us. Jamie whispered, "Holy shit!" The thing's ears flicked. Then it dropped to all fours, fluid, predatory, and vanished into the trees faster than anything that size should move. We packed up at first light. No discussion. Just silent, shaking hands stuffing gear. That's when it started following. We heard branches snap behind us, always the same distance. Never close enough to see, never far enough to ignore. Sometimes a low huff, like a big dog scenting the air. Sometimes claws scraping bark, deliberate. By mile 8, Jamie was crying quietly. "It knows where we are," he kept saying. "It knows." I tried to keep us moving, compass south toward the highway. But the trails, they weren't right anymore. We kept crossing the same fallen birch tree with the weird knot that looked like a screaming face. 3 times, like the forest was folding in on itself. Night 3, we didn't make camp. We just walked with headlamps, praying for dawn. Around 11:40 p.m., we hit a small frozen pond. Reflected in the ice were 2 amber eyes watching from the opposite shore. Then another pair. Then 3 more. They blinked in sequence, like they were communicating. Jamie dropped his pack and ran. I screamed at him to stop. Bears you don't run from, but this wasn't a bear. I chased him anyway. We crashed through deadfall, thorns tearing our jackets. Behind us came the sound of heavy footfalls, 2 legs, then 4, alternating. Something huge breathing hard, excited. We burst into a clearing. An old fire tower foundation, rusted ladder still attached. We scrambled up like kids on a playground, higher, higher, until the metal groaned under our weight. 20 feet up we stopped, gasping. Silence again, that terrible waiting silence. Then from directly below us, a voice. Not words exactly, but the shape of words, a deep, guttural mimicry. Alex, Jamie. Our names, our actual names, stretched and wet like someone learning to speak through a mouthful of teeth. Jamie started sobbing. I covered his mouth with my hand. The thing circled the tower base. We heard claws on steel, testing, scratching, patient. Then it reared up. The ladder shook. Something enormous put weight on the first rungs. I fumbled the bear spray. Jamie had his phone out, trying to get signal, recording anything. The creature climbed 2 steps, paused, then a long, rattling exhale. And it spoke again, clearer this time. Every 10 years, you forget. The voice was almost human, almost sad. Then it dropped back to the ground. We heard it circle once more, slow, deliberate. A final low growl that sounded like laughter. Then nothing. We stayed in the tower until sunrise, watched the forest lighten. No tracks in the frost around the base. No fur, no claw marks on the metal. But when we finally climbed down, we found Jamie's drone on the ground, carefully placed upright. The memory card was missing. We walked the last 6 miles in silence, reached the car at 9:47. Neither of us has spoken about it since, except once, when Jamie sent me a single text 3 weeks later. It's not waiting for 2027. It's already here. I still hear it sometimes. Not the howl, the voice, saying my name in the dark just behind my shoulder when I'm alone in the house with the windows open to the night. I don't go into the woods anymore. And if you're reading this, if you're planning a trip up north, don't. The Dogman isn't a legend anymore. It's remembering its lines. And it's getting better at speaking them. Thanks for listening. If you're brave enough for more, hit subscribe and join us for the next story that will haunt your imagination. Until next time, keep the lights on.